Ravens take on the Chiefs this Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead. Huge game for both teams. Both teams are 1-2, so somebody's starting out 1-3. We're going to dive into the details of this game, key matchups for both sides of the ball, final score predictions, all that and more in this game preview episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans, Chiefs fans? If you're watching, my name is Ryan. Welcome into another episode of the Flock Rundown game preview episode. Massive game this Sunday. I don't think it is a must-win officially for either team. It's only week 4, but somebody's starting out 1-3, and that is not a position you want to be in. So let's dive into the details of this game. We'll start with the spread. The Ravens are favored in this game, -2.5, which I am a little surprised about on the road. The weather should not be a factor. We're looking at mid to low 80s, no rain, very low wind, so no concern there. Let's dive into the injury reports from this game. We'll start with the Chiefs since theirs is pretty small. They're very healthy coming into this game. They said that Mike Dana is doubtful, and then they have officially Christian Fulton and Ashton Gillett are questionable for Sunday's game, but everyone else is good to go. Xavier Worthy will play in this game. And then heading over to the Ravens, it is a lot uglier. They have already ruled out Nnamdi Madubuike, Pat Ricard, and Broderick Washington. And then Travis Jones, Isaiah Likely, Ronnie Stanley, and Kyle Van Noy all questionable. And I would say Ronnie Stanley and Kyle Van Noy are very questionable. I definitely see Travis Jones playing, although playing hobbled. And if he plays like he did in that Detroit game hobbled, he's not going to be as much of a factor. And then Isaiah Likely, I think he does make his return. John Harbaugh pretty much said he's ready to go, and we'll just see if there's roster space, but I would imagine that Isaiah Likely plays in this game. I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't, but I don't know. They're not bringing Keaton Mitchell up for roster space, so maybe Isaiah Likely doesn't fit this game plan and they don't activate him. I have no idea, but I think he's healthy enough. I'm expecting to see him out there. Kyle Van Noy, true question mark in this game, but I think he does have a chance to go. He did return in a limited fashion today. And then same as Ronnie Stanley, pretty much out all week, got in a limited practice on Friday. I think Ronnie and Kyle Van Noy, very questionable for this game. So these are two big pieces that are up in question. The Ravens offensive line has not played without Ronnie Stanley in a bit. We haven't seen Joseph Noteboom, who would step in for Ronnie. And I know he's a veteran tackle, but it's not Ronnie Stanley. So hopefully those guys are out there and can play, close to their full potential and aren't super hobbled, because Van Noy's intelligence on defense and his ability to stop the run, I feel like, is going to be an asset in this game. And then, like I said, Ronnie Stanley is obviously a massive piece. The Chiefs' D-line is a big problem. So we need Ronnie, we need Kyle out there. But we'll see. We'll see who's out there. The Ravens are pretty banged up heading into this one. Let's dive into this game. So we'll start with the Ravens defense versus the Chiefs offense. These are two units that are underperforming this year. Historically, we think the Chiefs offense is a threat, and they got Mahomes and, some weapons out there, and they usually are a problem. But this year, they're not putting up a ton of numbers. They're definitely underperforming, as is the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is ranked pretty much dead last in a lot of important categories. And I know we went against, Buffalo and Detroit, and we've had some high-powered matchups, which may skew those stats a little differently. But regardless, they didn't perform well in those high-powered matchups. I don't think it's an excuse just because you played good teams. If you want to be a great team, you got to show up against those great teams, and the Ravens defense is not playing great football right now. So it'll be interesting to see who has that bounce back. Does the Chiefs offense get going with the addition of Worthy returning? Does the Ravens defense turn this around and play much better than they have been? We know that the D-line's banged up. Madubuike is not coming back anytime soon, most likely. So we got to figure it out, man. Guys got to step up. We may activate some more bodies. We just signed a couple guys to the practice squad this week. Could see a couple different bodies there. We got Okoye as an option as well, even though I really liked what I saw from John Jenkins. So I think he'll definitely be out there often. Hopefully Travis Jones can be healthy and be his full version. I think those will be huge assets to, at least stopping the run game and trying to get some interior pressure. And we got to get some pressure from the edge as well. The Chiefs' offensive line is not great. I think it's well below what Detroit's and Buffalo's offensive line were. So I know that we weren't getting a lot of pressure against those teams, but I think there's more opportunity against this Chiefs offensive line. But Mahomes gets the ball out quick, and they're not taking a lot of sacks this year. So just because the offensive line isn't great, I don't think that leads to a bunch of sacks, because Mahomes is very quick and decisive with getting rid of the ball, and they're just not taking a lot of sacks. Their run game isn't opening a lot of lanes either. The Ravens' run game has struggled in the last few weeks, while the Chiefs' run game has struggled this year. Mahomes leads the team in rushing. That's not normal. He's not going off and rushing. They haven't been able to establish a consistent ground game with Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. So this is a perfect opportunity for the Ravens to clog those lanes and not have happen what happened in Detroit last week. We should not be getting bullied by the Chiefs. The Chiefs cannot get the run game going. Linebackers need to play more aggressive, hit the gaps with reckless abandon, man. I talked about this throughout this week so many times. I sense so much hesitation in that Lions game. Roquan Smith was not hitting the hole. He was sitting there chopping his feet, not moving right away, and then a lineman comes off a double block and is able to clear Roquan out, clear the linebackers out, and create running lanes. We need to hit the hole. We need to be bringing pressure. Let's be aggressive on defense. We haven't been able to get home with 4 pretty much all season long, and I don't know why that would change. I just don't think we have a game wrecker on that defensive line right now. And therefore, we got to bring some extra pressure. And I know we tried some of that last week, and it backfired, and it got picked up, and they were able to still dink and dunk their way down the field and keep it moving and get the run game going. The Lions basically did whatever they wanted against us last week. This week, let's be more aggressive. Let's bring a 5th blitzer. Let's play more man. Let's get these corners in these receivers' faces. If they get one over our heads randomly and get a big play, then so be it. I'd rather live with that one random big play than getting dinked and dunked all the way down the field where we can't get off the field on 3rd down. The Lions got us in so many 3rd downs and converted on most of them. They went on a 98 and a 96-yard drive. The 98-yard drive was 18 plays. You can't let the Chiefs just slowly move down the field and keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. Because right now, the weakness of the Ravens is clearly the defense. So this defense needs to find a way to get off the field. I think they have a higher chance of doing that if they just play really aggressive. Is Worthy potentially going to get a big one on you? Yeah. I mean, it could happen. You open yourself up to those moments when you are playing a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more in their face. I mean, by aggressive, I mean playing more man coverage, having the corners right up against the receivers, not giving them a lot of room, bringing some extra pressure, not just rushing 4 and trying to make Mahomes get rid of the ball fast. Will he take a sack? Probably not. They're not taking many sacks. They're not turning the ball over a lot. The Ravens need to find a way to force turnovers. I don't know if Mahomes is going to throw you one. You might have to punch a ball out. Whatever it takes, we need to figure out a way to get more turnovers and get some pressure, make Mahomes uncomfortable. I think we will be able to stop this run game. This run game has not really opened up all season for the Chiefs. So if it opens up against Baltimore, we got some real problems. The Ravens historically have an incredible run defense. I'm a little less confident in that after what I saw last week, because we obviously don't have a full strength defensive line, and then we just got bullied by the Lions. They ran all over us. The Chiefs aren't running the ball well. So I think we should be able to contain the run game. Now it's just about getting some pressure on Mahomes, force him to get the ball out quick, make him uncomfortable. I think that's the goal of this game, and just get off the field. The defense needs to find a way to get off the field, step up in that big moment. There's just too many 3rd downs where we're not getting off the field. Defense is gassed, puts so much pressure on the offense to score every single drive because they're not getting as many opportunities as they should because the defense can't get off the field. So, this is a very interesting matchup. You got a Chiefs offense that is just not performing up to their standard. They are getting Xavier Worthy back, who they didn't really have all season. They had him for a drive or a couple plays in that first game. So they haven't had Worthy. That's a big weapon for them. He's going to stretch the field. That is going to test the Ravens' tackling angles and tackling again, which is another point to bring up because the Ravens missed 20 tackles last week. They need to tackle. The Ravens defense has to get back to the way that they play. And I know we're not getting back to Ray Lewis, Ed Reed days. I don't think that's way too far. That's a pipe dream. But this Ravens defense can play a lot better than they've been playing. So I just who's going to step up, man? That's really my takeaway in this matchup. You know, play more aggressive. Yes, from a game plan perspective, players need to run to the ball harder, play more physical, play with some passion. You know, act and want it more than the other team. I feel like that's been a weird thing too these last few games. Outside of the Cleveland game, it just seemed like Buffalo and Detroit, especially Detroit, wanted it more than Baltimore. That's unacceptable, man. You know, we got to go out there and play like this game means something, and I think they will. I'm over here beating the Ravens up quite a bit, but I truly do think that they bounce back in this Chiefs game, and this defense plays a lot better than they have been. Week 4 of the NFL season is here, and this year I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you guys an incredible offer. New customers bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's right, just bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And when you guys sign up, just make sure you use my promo code TFR. Let's flip to the other side of the ball, which is the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. And both of these units are strengths of their teams right now. You know, the Chiefs defense is a little above average across the board and have a very strong defensive line. Obviously, they got Chris Jones, who is a game wrecker and is going to need a lot of attention and to be consistently double teamed, whether that's just, you know, the center helping out. If Linderbaum's got to help Lele or whoever Jones is lined up on, chipping him a little bit. The running back, you know, Justice Hill getting in there and pass protecting as much as possible. I mean, we need to put attention towards Chris Jones. And I think that's really the story of this matchup, is how much pressure is the Chiefs defensive line getting on the Ravens, because Lamar last week took 7 sacks. Our defense ended up getting 0 sacks, but we allowed 7 sacks. Some of those on Lamar, some of those long developing routes, some of those obviously led up by the offensive line. Is a combination of a lot of things going on there. But regardless, the Ravens offensive line has holes too. I talked about how the Chiefs offensive line isn't a brick wall. Neither is the Ravens offensive line. And we got Ronnie Stanley banged up, who is truly questionable. He only put in 1 limited practice all week. Not sure if he's even going to play. You know, we got Voorhees struggling right now. Linderbaum's been solid for the most part. Fa'alele has been all right. He has some really, really bad moments, but I mean, overall, I think he's actually playing better than Voorhees is right now. Rosengarten's playing all right, but it's just all right, man. The offensive line's just all right now. I'm not seeing a lot of dominance. So there's some holes, and the Chiefs D-line has caused a lot of problems for us before. And the Ravens offense needs to not only protect Lamar, they need to create running lanes. We have not been able to run the ball well for 2 straight weeks. Now, we went up against Cleveland, who has a very talented defensive line as well. Probably the best defensive line in the league, I'd say, Cleveland right now. They held us to 45 rushing yards. Derrick Henry was irrelevant. Last week, early in the game, we got the run game going a little bit, and then it disappeared. I think we ran for like 85 yards. That's weird, man. That is very weird for the Ravens to not be running the ball well. So there's some serious pressure on Todd Monken and this offensive line to get this run game going. It's not Derrick Henry. Yeah, he's had some late game fumble issues, which I think are an outlier. Very weird. That's not a pattern in his career. Maybe it's something he's thinking about right now, but at this point, I don't expect that to continue unless it does continue and then it becomes a bigger issue. But right now, it's just kind of weird that that's happening. I don't think the run game is Lamar or Derrick's fault or anybody's fault but the line. The line needs to create running lanes. They're doing all right in pass protection. I did see Lamar kind of stop the trust last week a little bit with the offensive line and definitely was getting happy feet, and we weren't seeing Lamar as calm. So we need to make sure that we can control this Chiefs front, and that is no easy task, man. The Chiefs have caused us problems in the past. I haven't even mentioned, the talented cornerbacks and linebackers that they have, but that D-line to me is the most important thing here. This trenches battle between the Ravens offensive line and the Chiefs defensive line is going to be the thing to watch, because the Ravens offense will not be as high-powered if they can't run the ball and if there's no running lanes. If Derrick Henry's not super involved, then it's all on Lamar through the air again, which he has done great. I mean, he's had an incredible year. I think he's probably playing the best quarterback ball out of anybody right now in the entire world. Lamar Jackson has been unbelievable. Hasn't turned the ball over all year, has just been decisive through the air, accurate. But you don't want to just have to do that, man. We need to get the run game going. We can't be in a lot of 3rd and longs. You know, the Ravens have been in 3rd and 7, 8, 10, 16, just way too long, man. Let's get some 3rd and 2s. Let's open the playbook up a little bit, you know, and that a lot of that comes with not getting stuffed in the run game. You know, it's 1st down, we hand one off to Henry, and it's blown up at the line of scrimmage, and we get a yard or whatever, and we're just, you know, and then an incomplete pass on 2nd down, boom, 3rd and long. That happens way too often. That's something you can't sustain. Yeah, Lamar makes some miraculous plays and hits the 20-yarder downfield to get that long 3rd down conversion, but you don't want to have to rely on that. So we need to get this run game going, man. This offensive line has to find a way to block. We need to put attention towards Chris Jones, and then I think we'll have a lot of opportunity elsewhere. You know, the Chiefs got some young safeties. I like McDuffie at corner a ton. He's going to be probably matched up against Zay Flowers. I think McDuffie will get the better of Zay a few times, but Zay can be moved all around the field. He's way too quick. Like, he can get open on McDuffie as well. So I think that there's that's just a fun matchup. The Ravens have a ton of weapons on offense. We're probably getting Isaiah Likely back. That is a mismatch that we can create with their linebackers or safeties. Mark Andrews just exploded last week. So whatever the defense is giving us from a mismatch standpoint, I think we have the guys to take advantage of that. It's just about protection for me. It's about protection and creating run lanes. Also, Todd Monken needs to have some quicker answers in the pass game. You know, we heard from Lamar this week when they asked him, hey, we know that some of the grades were saying that it was your fault for those sacks that you took last week. I think only 3 sacks out of the 7 were credited to the offensive line's fault. The other 4 were not considered the offensive line's fault. They asked Lamar, are you holding on to the ball too long? And he said, no, I'm trying to let routes develop downfield. And when you pair that with the film, it is true. There's a lot of longer developing routes, which is fine if you got time. But if someone's in your face, all of a sudden, you don't have the same options downfield. As soon as Lamar drops back, he's worried about the pressure. He's not able to dissect the field like he needs to, and the routes are taking too long. So let's have some quicker answers. Run a crossing route. You know, have a quick little curl. Let's have some layered passing attack answers so that if Lamar does need to get rid of the ball really fast and they're containing him as a runner, which they do well, the Lions did that really well. If they're containing Lamar as a runner and he can't really take off, we need quicker passing answers because I know the protection's not going to hold up every snap. You know, there's going to be many plays where he does have somebody in his face. So I'd like some quicker answers in the pass game, and then I just can't say it enough. This Ravens offensive success comes down to the offensive line. When you hear everyone saying we got to play better, we got to execute better, the Ravens offensive line is the reason for all that. You know, like they have to block better, and they, especially in the run game. We can't just barely be able to run each game. I know we got Lamar Jackson. He's unbelievable. He will get it done through the air, but the Ravens are so dangerous when they have that balanced attack going. When Henry's running and Lamar is able to dissect through the air, the Ravens offense is unstoppable. I don't care who they're going against. So Ravens offensive line versus Chiefs D-line is the show to watch. Let's dive into the score predictions. I got the Ravens bouncing back in Arrowhead and winning one 30-27. I think this is a super close game. I'd be surprised if it's a blowout either way. I think that both teams are playing for a ton. This game could be a lower scoring game, but I just don't trust the Ravens defense right now to completely stop teams, even if a team's struggling a little bit. And I just got a feeling that the Chiefs offense starts to come to life a little bit, and we just end up getting a really good back and forth close game. So I'm going 30-27. I do have the Ravens defense playing better than they did against Detroit. I think they contain the Chiefs run game because the Chiefs just don't have a lot of threats in the run game. And I think the Ravens defensive line, even as banged up as they are, will be able to do well against the Chiefs offensive line in the run game. Definitely worried about the return of Worthy and just the Chiefs' ability to kind of dink and dunk their way down the field, because that's what's killing the Ravens right now. They can't get off the field. So I hope the Ravens play a little bit more aggressive, even if you get one over your head and they get a quick score. I think that aggressive mentality And play calling will lead you to get some more third down stops, which will get the ball back in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry's hands, which is where you're going to win this game. So the defense needs to get off the field. That is number one priority. Get off the field by any means necessary. And the Ravens offense is going to put up points. I know the Chiefs defensive line poses a lot of problems. They do got some talented guys over there. They're playing well. I like their defense a lot, but the Ravens offense is historically good. This Ravens offense is, even this season, is putting up a ton of points. You have 40 against Buffalo, 41 against Cleveland, and then even 30 last week against Detroit. I mean, this Ravens offense is scoring some points, and they've went against some good defenses. So I expect the Ravens offense to continue rolling here and get another 30 plus. But can the Ravens defense step up and slow this Chiefs offense down and not let them get going? Because once the Chiefs, the Chiefs have been struggling as well, and I could see this game as the game where they start connecting and getting the flow back, especially with Worthy back in the mix. That's such a weapon for them. So that's the story here, really, is can this Ravens defense get some stops? I think that they get enough stops in this game. And the Ravens win 30-27. But I will admit, I'm not feeling as confident as previous weeks. What happened in that Detroit game put a dent in my confidence. And that confidence can obviously move week to week. So if the Ravens defense goes out there and plays like they should and just plays with passion, man, play like you want to be out there. Want it more than the Chiefs. That's what I'm asking for, really, at the end of the day. The Ravens need to go out there and play like they want it more than the Chiefs. But let me know what you guys are thinking about this game. It's a lot of unknowns, man. It was a weird game preview to do because both teams are not themselves. Both teams are struggling. The Ravens are really banged up. This is a weird game. Who's going to rise to the occasion? Drop your score predictions, bold predictions. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Go Ravens, and have a beautiful rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys next time, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly.